meditate to help us continue to open the door and the channels and the light and the love between ourselves and the divine. We go into our study and our practice and remember our lessons. I invite you to relax into your chair. Place both feet flat on the floor. Remove everything from your hands. Close your eyes if it feels comfortable to you, or otherwise divert your attention. And take a deep breath. And release. You can allow your weight to sink into the chair, your muscles to relax. As you release yourself and what is around you, and go within. And create your comfortable space. The temperature is just right. The light is warm and inviting. And take a deep breath. And relax. And be at peace. And there's a doorway here. It's open, for there are no barriers between your space and what is beyond. And there is a light there. It's different, and yet comforting, welcoming, inviting. And take a deep breath. And breathe in courage, strength, and power. And breathe out faith and light and love. And the door beckons, and we step through. And we join the light. We join the power. We are one with it. All doubt and fear is behind the other side of the door. Here, there is only light. There is knowledge. There is strength. Salvation is my only function here. Other energies may arise, other thoughts coming through their own doors to this space, and we honor them, love them, forgive them, save them. For salvation is my only function here. God is still love. Here we perform miracles.
last week, don't worry about it. Just come right along on the ride with us. I was discussing how I was trying to find a theory of everything that worked for me, a way that I could find balance and a practical method for integrating my spirituality, my beliefs, my life, and all of the things and people around me. And I discovered, in of all places, Life magazine, that David Bohm, a protege of Einstein and a quantum physicist, had described the universe as a hollow movement, which he says is a single unbroken entity in flowing motion. And the three basic manifestations of this entity are matter, energy, and meaning. And each enfolds the other two. The universe informs its actions of all its parts. And the feedback of any one alters the universal flow. A fraction of this flow that we can see with our senses is called the expletive order, and the vast remainder is called the implicative order. There's a lot going on in the universe that we don't know. We admitted that last week. And that we don't always have a sense of. And I talked about this in a sense. I made a little Venn diagram here. Something like this. Matter, stuff, energy, love, and meaning. And I talked last week about how meaning was left out of my 8th grade science. It's not talked about very much. And that this little spot, this little section here, is where we're trying to bring all of these things together in a very real sense in our lives, and that this little spot might be what I would call enlightenment. And that therefore our ultimate goal is to not have a little spot in which our three things, our three elements of the universe, our three elements of our lives are overlapping, but in fact our goal is to find a way to overlap these circles as much as possible so that the majority of our life is in this enlightened place. We talked about the matter, and we've spent a week or maybe more, and we will spend weeks and many more finding ways to make sure that the matter isn't the most important thing in our lives, even though it seems to be. And there are lots of books, and lots of references, and lots of classes, lots of ways to discover how this works best for you. Just having an awareness that it can be done is a good first step. We talked about the love and the energy that passes between us, how we use that each day, how we can bring that wherever we are. And today we want to talk about meaning. Meaning. Oh my gosh, meaning. Don't close that. It has my notes. And I want to make certain that we carry on with the meaning part with this vital part of Bohm's quote. The universe informs the actions of all its parts, and their feedback alters the universal flow. And let me put that, if you're coming along on this ride with me, with this understanding that therefore the meaning one, which was maybe ignored for a long time, can't be ignored. It is as important. It is vital to the flow and the weave. How we use meaning is a part of how the universe works. And there is no vacuum available. There are no neutral thoughts. The meaning of life is that life has meaning. And you cannot ignore the meaning part. It is the most difficult and the easiest thing you'll do from this moment on, because it requires you to ask that wieldy question, why? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why do I have the stuff that I have? Why do I feel the way I feel? Why am I taking the actions I'm taking? And it requires this of us all the time. And it sounds exhausting at the start, but it becomes the divine, natural acceptance and free-flowing way you live your life after just a little practice. After just walking through that door ego behind and say, yes, this is the way it's supposed to be. The divinity, the joy that is yours, accept it, becomes that motivation, and therefore you move forward. And it may be different than how you've been doing it until now, and it seems daunting. It seems daunting in some ways. How do we do this on a practical level? I found this book years ago. It's not a bestseller, but it has so much wonderful information in it, and it starts from the stuff side. It's called The Circle of Simplicity by Cecile Andrews. And one of the things I like about it is that at one point, during the course of her life and her exploration of her own self, she turned to her husband and said, "What's your food philosophy?" And he said, "Huh?" And she said, "What's your food philosophy? Let's think about this for a minute." Because we all have to have in order to survive. We all must have some stuff, and there's nothing more tangible or vital to us than our food. It's a key component of our lives. I've said for years, I look forward to, Jetsons, everything is just a pill, and you drink and move on. Thinking about, constructing, worrying about, preparing, wondering about food, it just takes so much of my time. And so as a great cosmic joke, God said, well, why don't you be a stay-at-home dad then, and then you can worry about 3 meals a day, not just for yourself, but for 3 other people too. And so that's what I do. And I will tell you that I am placing, I can cast no stones about convenient foods or sometimes mindless eating or not always going whole and natural and stuff I grow in my backyard. But I will give you this thought from her book. Why is this important? Let's take a look at something as mundane as a hamburger. First, the bun. It's made of flour, which starts out as grain, which is grown with water, fertilizer, pesticides, herbicides, and sometimes fungicides. And when the seed is sown and the grain harvested, farmers use tractors, threshers, and combines, which are made out of metal, which has its own production process, and use lots of oil. And using oil, of course, uses up finite resources and pollutes the air with carbon dioxide and greenhouse gas. Then the grain is transported, sorted, milled, stored, and sent to bakeries. The buns are wrapped in plastic and shipped to stores. Every step burns fuel and produces pollution. And we haven't even reached the beef. Once again, we start with grain for feed, then lots of water until the cow is big enough to be shipped off to the stockyard, and then the processing plant where it's slaughtered, packaged, and shipped to warehouses and refrigerator cars and trucks. And at the warehouse, the beef is ground in patties, frozen and stored. Then it's shipped in freezer trucks to restaurants where it's kept cold until it's ready to cook. Each step uses energy and resources, and particularly oil. And we haven't talked about cutting down the rainforest in order to raise cattle, which further produces global warming. And there's all this for one little hamburger. And we eat 3 meals a day. And we have this circle, this stuff circle. We have to have this stuff circle. But can we find a balance in what we're doing? Can we be mindful about what we're eating? Can we know why we're eating it? And I will tell you straight out that even if the why is because I'm going to keel over because my blood sugar is low, and this is the closest thing and the least money I can spend right now, okay. Just the awareness that what you're doing has meaning is a vital first step. And if we can't go big time, gee, I'm saving the planet with this hamburger, we can go, but I am going to be grateful and bring energy to you and find balance in this meal. See how each of these parts informs the others. And even if we're not making the best choice here we could possibly make in the grand scheme of things, we can make certain that we're bringing these circles together when we do. In every instance, in every opportunity, in a very practical way. And we serve however we can. Driving is such a great thought. If you're so focused on the what of driving, on the stuff of driving, on getting to whatever's next, on the urgency of driving, then driving becomes this. Driving, where I'm going. We lose track of the fact that there are other cars and other people, in those cars. And an accident thrown into that mix becomes a giant frustration, a place of angst. But when we open ourselves up to the way these things work together, we find that the meaning is, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And what was the line of the song? And I am the best person for the job. Now, you're a paramedic, feel free to jump out of your car and help whoever's just been in that accident. Great. If you're a spiritual person who understands the power of your prayer and your energy, then it's your responsibility as you drive by to send all of your prayers and healing energy and light and love to whoever's there, to whoever's in need, whoever has it. Your stuff may still be as simple as driving down the street, but your energy and your meaning, because your meaning is who you are, because who you are is divine, because who you are is powerful, because who you are is energy, who you are is light, who you are is love. All of that works together to do your part in every instance. It's the simplest, most complicated thing you'll ever do in your entire life. Because in every instance, you are called upon to be the divine in that instance. In that instance. Course in Miracles tells us this, lesson 61. What's the meaning of life? What's my role here? I am the light of the world. What's your role? I am the light of the world. God has built his plan for the salvation of his Son on you. Your function, your meaning is as, big word, Savior. 99. Salvation is my only function here. Big word. Salvation, Savior. Lots of people commandeered that word and gave it to one person in particular and said, that's the only way. I'm offering to you, you're it. You're it. Salvation is forgiveness. Salvation is praying as you go by. Salvation is walking away with love in your heart instead of anger or fear. Salvation is giving the money when you can. Salvation is giving stuff to the resale store. Salvation is doing things, yes. And salvation is whatever you can do at the time. If you're finding the balance, if you're infusing the meaning, if you're using your energy in whatever place you find yourself, you're bringing those circles together and you're healing the world. And what's happened for us, it's happened for me for many years, was this sense of, oh, the world will let me know. The world will show me. The world will give me this sense, the meaning will come at me. Somebody will stand on a stage and say, this is what it is. And I went on my quest, searching for the meaning of life, and somebody offered me this book, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Which seemed like the right thing to read the place I was at the time. It's another one I recommend. I know, we have a whole library of stuff we got to get to. I'll give you a break. You only have to read the first 105 pages, 115 pages. Viktor Frankl is survived the Holocaust, and it's created an entire new method of psychotherapy called logotherapy, which is basically therapy based on meaning. He was in what is inarguably the most horrific period, darkest moment in human history, in which fear and hate and anger, and mostly fear, allowed people to do horrific and terrible things. And he was the victim of those things. And placed in a concentration camp for many months, which is what much of the first 100 pages of this book is about, and it will change your life if we read it. We realize that there is something about the human spirit that we simply cannot get our heads around, no matter how much we try to draft it out or think it through. There is a light and an ability and a desire within human beings survive and to live and to love and to do the right thing, even in the midst of the most horrific of conditions. And Dr. Franklin was part of a team, self-appointed group of men who, when they saw another prisoner was anguished, believe it or not, or suffering, they would go to that man and they would say, how can we help? What can we do? And there was actually a level of anguish that was worse than what they were going through every day. Surprisingly enough, they discovered that when someone they knew had started smoking his cigarettes, rather than trading them away for lesser duty or better food, that was a pretty clear sign that they had given up. And they would go to that person's bedside and they would say, what is it? What can we do? And of course, in that situation, such a man would reject all encouraging arguments and say something to the effect of, I have nothing to expect from life anymore. And what sort of answer could you give to that? Because we ask all the time. So what's in it for me? To which Frankl says, what was really needed was a fundamental change in our attitude towards life. We had to learn ourselves, and furthermore, we had to teach the disparaging men that it did not really matter what we expected from life, but rather what life expected from us. We needed to stop asking about the meaning of life, and instead to think of ourselves as those who were being questioned by life, daily and hourly. Our answer must consist not in talk and meditation, but in right action and in right conduct. Life ultimately means taking the responsibility to find the right answer to its problems and fulfill the tasks which it constantly sets for each individual. This is a great scheme. This concept of how the universe might be working around us is all lovely and delightful and fun and interesting. And yes, I've given you at least 2 books to read and tasks to do and meditations. But what life is really calling on us to do is right action and right thought. Loza wrote a book called It's a Meaningful Life. It just takes practice. And it all kind of boils down to 2 things. There is, of course, this inner communion. But where we're really going is the external community. And we are called to serve, to understand that there are difficulties, to understand that they are big and small, that they are personal and they are global. And we are called in whatever place we are in to bring the light and bring the love, understand the energy, accept the situation, and know that the ultimate meaning of it all is to bring us to that place where we bring the divine to earth. Where we bring the divine to earth. Where we don't just sit and call on it and hope it comes. Where we don't stay on our side of the doorway and wonder if what's out there will fix it all. We are called to understand that the universe is bringing us to this place, right here, right now. This person, this accident, this instance, this place, this new divine chapter in this church, this city, this town, our lives, our jobs, our families,